Ready to begin? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I want to thank everybody for coming tonight.
Okay, roll call. Mary Helen?
Pioneertown, Steve Bardwell. Is he excused?
No.
Yucca Mesa, Tom Ziegert.
Present.
Landers, Dawn Johnson.
Excused.
Joshua Tree, Mark Lundquist.
Present.
Flamingo Heights is vacant. Desert Heights, Pat Flanagan. Present. Wonder Valley, Teresa Sykes. Here. Morongo Valley, Gail Swarrett. Not here. Copper Mountain Mesa, Mary Helen Tuttle.
Okay, item D, adoption of agenda. Do I hear a motion? Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Okay. Any discussion? No? Second?
Second.
Mary Ellen, second. Okay. Item E, approval of September 10th, 2018 meetings. Do I hear a motion? Any discussion? No? All those in favor? Okay. Okay, no memorial adjournments tonight. That's a good thing. And public safety reports. Do we have anybody from County Fire? I don't see anybody. No? Morongo Valley CSD? No. Cal Fire? No. How about CHP?
Nothing to report. Any questions?
Sure, there's always questions for the CHP. Yeah.
Yeah. Officer Guan with the Highway Patrol. How are you doing this evening? Do I have any questions? We don't have anything to pass, just that, use the mic. Oh, hey.
Are you the new information
hold
officer?
it. Yeah, who would like me to hold it? Okay.
PIO, yeah.
Leave.
There's a little switch on the, see, push it up. There you go.
Now, can you hear me better? All right, perfect.
What was your name?
My name is Officer Jason Kobali. I'm with the California Highway Patrol out of the Morongo Basin office here in Joshua Tree. I'm the Public Informations Officer. The only thing to pass is that Wednesday is the National Bike and Walk to School Day. We'll be conducting some specific enforcement over at Yucca Valley Elementary School in Yucca Valley in conjunction with the Morongo Basin Unified School District to help promote safe travels of our kids to and from school during school hours. So that's all we have to pass on the agenda for today. Any questions, concerns? That concludes my report.
Great. Thank you, Jason. I appreciate it. Okay, Sheriff, do we have? We have Travis Newport himself here tonight.
Good evening. Just a few things to report to you guys. For as far as calls for service in the county area, we handled about 1,686 calls for service. Total basin-wide, this is just for last month, by the way. Total basin-wide, 5,608 calls. We've handled, I say only at this time because the season's starting to kick up, but we've only handled 12 motorcycle or OHV calls, and that's basin-wide. As far as the county area goes, among those almost 2,000 calls, we had 5 of them were grand theft auto calls. As far as burglaries go, we had 15 burglaries, 1 commercial burglary, and 3 grand thefts with a total of 24 Part 1 crimes. Given the big picture of that many calls for service, that's actually not too bad. I'd like it to be 0, but unfortunately I don't think that's going to happen. Other than that, I had a chance to go to the Orchid Festival this weekend. That was pretty neat seeing that. Took my wife and my kids up there. Oh, I was there. Trust me. I tried to sneak away the little big tortoise, but they wouldn't let me have it. I think his name was Dino. Oh, were you really? No. Really great festival though, and lots of nice people up there. We also had a COP booth up there with Roxanne. Any questions? Yes, ma'am.
How does last month's statistics compared to previous month or maybe last year? Do you have a comparison?
So I didn't run any for the previous months because we were dark and we didn't have any sessions for the previous months. But I'd wager to say it's probably right on target. I wouldn't imagine it's too high or too low. We trend about the same every year. If it was something alarming, I'd bring that up to you guys. Yes, sir.
Do you have an area that's being particularly hit right now with burglaries or crime?
Not necessarily. We've had the typical Landers area up there that got hit over the last month. We actually ended up with a few people in custody on that one. I believe it was a residence that was what appeared to be semi-vacant, and the deputies actually caught some folks in the act. As far as area-wise, again, we're going back to the weekend residences and vacant residences. Some of them we call burglaries. Statistically speaking, are they truly burglaries? Some of them maybe not. They're more like squatters. But if they took any item from that residence or anything that belonged there that we caught them with, we call that a burglary. As far as trends and areas, nothing to be alarmed about at this time. Yes, sir.
This weekend, the Joshua Tree campgrounds, and they had a music festival. Was there any problems over there this weekend that you know about?
None that I know of. I went through the logs for the weekend, and in fact, I drove past the music festival out there over the weekend on my way back from the farmer's market out there in 29. It seemed pretty calm and collective. No true issues. The logs didn't reflect anything, so I think it was a pretty non-eventful weekend, hopefully.
Travis, do you want to mention anything about the wild nacho coming?
Yes, yes, absolutely. So we have a nacho eating competition coming up at the Sheriff's Department. It's October 24th. CHP is also invited. I think they're bringing some people over. We're calling it the Kamikaze Nacho Eating Contest. So it's basically between us, CHP, the Marine Corps base, and the fire departments up here. So the nachos are from a vendor in 29 Palms. I want to say it's 29 Palms Street Tacos. They're the ones that are located at the Palladium. It's somewhat of a new business. They're also going to be catering the event. We're trying to kick it open to where we have an open house for that day. It's a Wednesday. It starts at about 11 o'clock and goes all the way till about 2. We plan to have our Sheriff's Aviation land a helicopter up there, bring out some SWAT equipment and some vehicles for us and CHP for you guys to look at. So by all means, if you do want to come and watch people, by the way, they're kamikaze nachos because apparently they're made with extremely hot chilies. In fact, I guess they're so hot that the people who make the sauce actually have to wear a mask to stop themselves from coughing. So it should be quite interesting. So I truly ask the public to come on out and just get to know some of our deputies and volunteers a little bit better, and we'll walk you guys through the station as well as the jail in the back.
This will be in the front parking lot?
Yes, sir. Front parking lot of the government center, right there in the front of the sheriff's station and right by where Mr. Lundquist's office is.
And we have the hospital district here tonight with a presentation.
Oh.
And maybe they can bring down their mobile medical unit?
That's probably a good idea. Who's from the hospital? Okay. Oh yeah. I remember you from the last. Yeah. Okay. Good luck. We're gonna be knocking at your door, I'm sure.
What date is it now?
October 24th. So a Wednesday.
11 a.m. to 2 p.m.
Correct.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Okay, we'll send that out in an email blast to our MAC members. We got about a list of about 200 people. Would you like us to do that?
Absolutely. In fact,
Okay.
Mark, I'll send you a flyer.
Okay, we'll
That
send
way
that
you-
out.
that way you can send it
Sure.
out.
We might have already done it. We'll do it again if we already have.
Perfect. Thank you.
Kind of scary, like 2 weeks ago, there's actually Crazy Gate, 2 runaways in one day that crossed my path. And out searching, it's pretty hard to feel anymore if you're going to see these kids again. The problem is with the sheriffs, my understanding is you guys don't really start, actively searching for about 24 hours. Is that the case, or?
No, that's-
The parents weren't calling, because they're not going for 24 hours anyway, what's the point?
Right. That's
Departments was approaching, and.
Yeah, that's a common misconception I think that people get from television.
Okay.
Anytime there's a runaway, we handle the call immediately, especially if it's anybody under the age of 14. Typically, I like to say under the age of 15. That kind of makes 14 and under. We consider them critical missings, and we do not clear the call until they're found. And in those particular cases, the ones that you're talking about, one of them, in fact, we actually called a detective out, and we had the airship searching the area. In fact, I think one of the kids came across somebody. Was that you that they came across on the highway out there on 247? Oh, okay. That's how we ended up locating that one. The other one just ended up popping up at a friend's house. But during that time, we were knocking on doors, doing neighborhood canvases.
It might have been the third one, actually, because the one, as far as I know, I don't know if you guys were even called on the one I was out looking for, but luckily she came to her senses and called as darkness approached, but she walked 8 miles. So we were looking, I was knocking on park ranger's door, who I knew, thinking we should be in that area, and totally different area. I mean, I was impressed,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah, and that's one thing
That's where I was impressed. That was impressive.
That's one thing I've noticed about our areas up here. They know the areas pretty well, and some of them are habitual runaways. Even then, if they're under that age, if they're within that age range, we still try to treat them as criticals. But habituals they go miles and miles, and unfortunately, some of them have even hitchhiked, taken buses, all kinds of different ways of transportation. And we can only do what we can do when we get called. But sometimes the parents realize, hey, you know what? They just keep running away, and they tend to find them on their own, and that's sometimes what happens.
Okay, so you guys will, get on it right away?
Absolutely,
Okay. Well,
absolutely.
I will dispel that myth as best I can.
Yeah, we always try to let people know that. We don't ever want anybody to wait 24 hours even when it comes to any missing person.
Yeah.
I don't care if they're critical or not. If it's even a voluntary missing, we don't require that you wait 24 hours.
Yeah, especially out here.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, thank you.
And Mark, next time I'd like to defer all my questions to CHP, please. Because he didn't get any, and that's not fair.
Okay, we'll make something up, don't worry.
Is that it?
Okay, thank you, Captain, we appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, that concludes the public safety reports. First presentation from Joe Rudden, Director of Business Development, and Jackie Combs, CEO of Morongo Basin Healthcare District, will present an overview of the healthcare district and updates on special projects. Are you speaking first, Jackie? Oh, together, okay. Tag team, okay. Yep.
Turn off one light, maybe. You can see it better.
Is that too much lights off? Maybe.
Is that the whole room?
Can everybody see that with the lights on? They can, okay. Yeah, we apologize for the small screen. The other room, unfortunately, the air conditioner is out, and that has to go to the Board of Supervisors to approve it. It's so expensive. Hopefully, by the time we have another meeting, that'll be done, and we'll be back in the room with the big screen. Okay. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you for having us today. We're always excited to talk about our healthcare district and dispel rumors of what we are and what we are not. And I'm really bad about not paying attention to my slides. So the short of it is the healthcare district is a special district that was formed by the state of California for the purpose of providing health care, particularly to the underserved individuals in our community. For 40 years, you've known us as Morongo Basin as the High Desert Memorial Healthcare District, which we are not. So we are not the hospital any longer. In July of 2015, it became necessary for the district to lease the property and actually sell the business. Tenet Healthcare is the new business owner. We're only the landlords. We have nothing to do with the hospital at this point, although we have a good working relationship with them from that. So the district is now known as Morongo Basin Healthcare District. It was really confusing being High Desert Memorial and High Desert Medical Center, so we changed our name. That kind of set us apart from where we what we do. We just always like to point out that we actually have 1,800 square miles that we're responsible for, from Pioneer Town to Amboy, Johnson Valley, and the park. So you can see it's a large area, some very populated, some very not so much from that. When we no longer operated the hospital, it didn't make sense to have our mission to be operating a quality health care. So we did change that I didn't, the board of directors did, to improve the health and wellness of the communities we serve. And the board's mission, actually vision, is to have a healthy Morongo Basin. So we actually, in the first year, commissioned a community needs assessment through Southern California's Sole Price School of Public Policy. And we actually, because a lot of us live here, we know what the problems are, but it's not documented anywhere, so we had them come in and survey our area. And two of the main areas that we found of concern, no surprise, I'm sure, to any of you, has to do with limited access to health care and transportation and the impact that people had of getting around from that. So from that, and if you want to see the full, in the packets held out, there actually is our website, and you can look at the full health needs assessment, or if you're doing a grant for something, please use the information. It's the community's resources. So first of all, this is not new, but it may be new to you. So the district did maintain the operations of our two clinic sites, one in 29 and one in Yucca Valley. We actually do provide an array of programs there, which include primary care, pediatrics. We have dental care at both locations, chiropractic, wound care, general surgery, behavioral health, pain management, and then we also have a hospital-to-home program associated with that. It was actually based off of a grant that we've had now. We're in our last year. But those individuals that are in the hospital that are our patients, or have no primary care, I have a nurse case manager that when the hospital lets them know that they're there for chronic illness, which means they may get readmissions into the hospital if they don't know how to take care of themselves, we'll actually come out, review their meds, call them at home. Did you get your prescriptions filled? Do you know how to take them? Did you get your appointment? Do you have transportation? And she follows them for 90 days to make sure that they have everything that they need from that. So the premise for this is that we serve, basically we serve everyone. Whether you have Medi-Cal, straight Medicare, some private insurances we take, or perhaps you do not have health care. You can come in and we do a sliding scale. Based on the sliding scale determines what you're charged. And if you still do not have money and you go, it may only be $10, but I don't have $10 and I need to be seen, we will still see you. And this is Joe's favorite part.
So many of you by now have hopefully heard about our mobile medical unit. That came online. We christened it Thursday afternoon with our board and some other folks from around the area. This, again, is in response to the community health needs assessment that really, additionally, I go out to places like Wonder Valley. Teresa's folks will say to me, I'm glad to know you have a clinic in 29 Palms, but I can't get there. We know it's a major challenge here. So our board of directors approved our staff to start to look and research mobile medical units. I knew very little about them, but I spent quite a few months researching and learned a lot. And so we're just thrilled to be able to bring this service online. This is the actual mobile unit. You can see it's very colorful, promotes various service lines that we will be providing. It has two state-of-the-art clinic exam rooms, an intake area. It's just truly state-of-the-art. It's 38 foot long, 12 feet high. You can stand in it. It's not like some of the other ones I've been in when I was researching this project. So we're really proud of this.
You tried it, Joe?
I did, actually. I did. They did a training for the drivers, and our transportation department, these are professional Class A, Class B drivers. I've never driven anything like this. So he puts orange cones out, and he says, okay, now back up. A 38-foot vehicle back around these orange cones. I was like, what? But I did it.
What's the fuel?
It is diesel, which we researched, and it's much more economical. And it really does not put off a lot of smell or anything, so that's good. It's a full-service clinic. It's going to provide primary care for the whole health spectrum, screenings, vaccinations, and as we start to go out in the community and figure out what the needs are, we'll respond in kind. I have been spending the summer going around to potential locations. I've been out to Yucca Mesa Community Center. We went to Flamingo Heights Community Center, Desert Heights Community Center. But these are the ones we decided on. When we went to a couple of the community centers like Flamingo Heights, they said, and Landers, Belfield Hall, they said, you really could just go to Yucca Mesa because it has an RV hookup and it's accessible to area residents. So it's probably what we're going to end up doing. Copper Mountain College, there's a real need with those students who arrive here and have no access to health care. They're new to the area, new to the state perhaps. So we reached out to them and they said absolutely. Sportsman's Lodge here would be a great location for Joshua Tree. Wonder Valley, Teresa and I have been in contact for the last several months about this. And then we're really going to look and see where else there's a need. So we're going to be out there at least once a month at each of these locations, if not more often. I know Jackie wants us out there as much as we can be, so it's probably going to be about 4 days a week, which will be good. So speaking of transportation, this was our first project 3 or 4 years ago. We started this free Lyft transportation services. Anybody who rides the highway, anybody who rides the highway, I'm sure has seen these vehicles, the white with the red prominently displayed. We provide free medical transportation to anyone in the Morongo Basin needing access to a medical appointment in the Morongo Basin. We don't take people to their dry cleaner, we don't take them to Walmart, but we will take them to their doctor. We take people off the beaten path. So if somebody lives 10 miles off the highway, we will actually go there, go to the door, and we'll go through the door if we need to actually help them. A lot of our folks are wheelchair bound or need a little extra assistance getting out and into the van. So we accommodate all of that. We have very professional drivers. We're on par to do between 6,000 and 10,000 one-way trips this year. So we are really, really busy. We have a team of 4 drivers. We cater to the seniors and disabled, but we'll really take anybody. If it's obviously someone under 18, they would need to be accompanied by a guardian. Community outreach, we are out there wherever we're invited. And if we just try to get out as much as we can and spread the word about our clinics and certainly our programs that we offer. We have a full-time enrollment specialist who can assist with Covered California, which is coming up, the window's opening for open enrollment, as well as assistance completing Medi-Cal applications. She's very busy. We go to wherever we're invited, bike rodeos, 5K walks and runs. We sponsored the Movie in the Park in '29, Concert in the Park in Yucca. We'll be at Pioneer Days Parade. We do, probably the biggest thing we do are 2 major health fairs a year. We just finished our '29 health fair Saturday. It was a grand success, even though there was a lot of competition. Sorry, Mary Helen, we did not want to do that, but we had to move it because we had the Flying Doctors, which is a huge opportunity to bring them to the Morongo Basin. They provided free dental, and unfortunately vision got canceled at the last minute due to a death in the family of the optometrist. But we had 100 people lined up by 7 a.m. And there were a lot of folks who have no access to a dentist, and I think it was a little unclear initially, what is it that we're doing? So we were on the radio, Gary was helping us to explain, do you have a toothache? You don't have to pay, no waiting, we have chairs open now. And so it started getting very crowded. But we did a lot of activities that day. We saw probably 200 to 300 people, I think, because there was so much going on.
Digital count today, they saw 100 people.
Yeah, which for a first time, we're really pleased, and the dentists were pleased. So we are going to do, we're bringing them back. They were very happy with the way it was organized, and we're excited about that partnership on behalf of our community. We offer free smoking cessation. It's a 7-week class. Ben Costello, many of you know, he was trained through the American Lung Association to be a trainer, so he is starting his next series in January. So if you know somebody who's fighting nicotine addiction, please let them know about this free seminar series. And then you'll see we're going to be doing something around surviving the holidays. healthy, stress-free holidays. We're going to take that on the road. I've reached out to Belfield Hall, Mike, to see if we can go up there. We're just trying to get out more into the different areas of the Morongo Basin. And this is new, Managing My Health. It's a Living Well Series Diabetes Management Program. It's an award-winning program through HRSA, which is a federal organization. They named Kathy Alkire, who's our nurse, as doing something very innovative with this program. And then Diabetes Prevention Program, these are coming soon. Do you want to add anything?
I can always talk about these programs. So the Diabetes Management Program actually is a 12-week class located in both ends of the, I would say both ends of the area from that. And what it involves is there's a nutritionist, of course, a registered nurse that's doing the medical portion, and we also have a licensed social worker who has sessions. So when you come, you might get one or the other. It's a sequence of events because these are life changes, as is quitting smoking. So we actually have are you prepared? How do you deal with your stress? Because I find losing weight stressful. So, there's that whole process. What we have found out that people are very successful when we use the combination of the RA and the nutritionist and this licensed social worker from that. And then when they finish their initial classes, we continue to meet with them periodically, like I think it's every month or so, and they don't want to quit after that. That's the deal. We're coming out this fall with diabetes prevention classes. This is actually the Centers for Disease Control's diabetic prevention classes. You wouldn't have think them in diabetes, but yes. And so we've had our staff in training for that program. It's actually been approved now, which means it is reimbursable by Medicare and soon Medi-Cal. So we'll be providing those classes in both locations too. And then coming very soon, after the first of the year, there's a huge need, as you can imagine, for COPD or respiratory conditions and how you manage your life related to that, congestive heart disease and hypertension. So again, I believe on the back of your page is telephone numbers. If you yourself or someone else is interested, please call and sign up for the classes. Yes, ma'am.
You said these classes were reimbursable, but I thought that the information I see said they're free.
We offer them free. In the future, of course, if we have an opportunity, we will. But definitely they're free to the public, yes.
So I have these handouts on the table over there. This is kind of an overview of all of these classes and programs we've been talking about, as well as more information about our clinics.
And I just want to say that we also enjoy our relationship with Tom Baumgart and the school district. He is there, everything that we need, from where we're going to park this medical mobile unit to anything else. We have a relationship with them in many levels. One is that we'll be out in the schools screening children for dental caries and for children's health. And you never know. My dream would be that we'll be doing mobile medical in the schools for children with their medical needs too. So who knows? You never know what will show up.
That concludes our presentation. Any questions?
It's a lot of services. Thank you very much for
Thank you
coming.
all for your attention.
Thanks, Joe. Okay, our next presentation is by Tom Baumgarten, Superintendent of Schools for Morongo Unified School District. We'll give a brief presentation on the Measure O School Bond and the state of education in the Morongo Basin. Tom?
Good evening. Yes, my name is Tom Baumgart. I am the superintendent of the Morongo Unified School District, and I'd like to share with you some information regarding the district and also a proposition Measure O. There are a few things that are available for some handouts on the table there, and I've also put them for the folks there. And I also know that I promised them to be 15 minutes, and I believe Mary Helen's got a sign that says time limit. Oh, time up. Okay. First of all, I wanted to talk a little bit about our district. It's actually similar to the healthcare district. We service from Morongo to Condor. We have a school that's actually on the base. We're about the size of geographically Rhode Island, and this summer, as we have many entities as we work through, we are looking to deploy, and we are finishing up. We have 2,000 new computers that they're going into the schools and students are working on. And the one thing about technology is by the time you have a computer, within 3 to 5 years, you've got to replace it. So kids now are learning, and we have parents calling us that says, when should they start using a computer? And oftentimes I've had the optometrist has said, not until age 2, because their eyes aren't developed. Could you imagine age 2? So the world definitely has changed, and oftentimes you'll see kids on devices in their strollers. With that, I would talk about some of the changes, and I have a cafeteria menu for you. Even when I went to school, sometimes lunch was my favorite class, but they have continued to develop it, and now it's much more healthy and balanced. And as a taxpayer, a couple of things I like about the lunch program now is we now have a district that can serve all students. So if you were paying before, you actually have the opportunity to get a free lunch because of the number of students that qualify. So now there's nobody feeling bad. All the food is the same. Anyone who wants them, you don't stand in one line to the other line to get a free lunch. And there's salad bars and other ways to eat that the kids are learning positive habits. I mean, they even have, if you look in the menu, it's Lucky Tray Day. So if you pick up your tray and you're underneath there, you get some type of surprise, probably an extra carrot or something else along the line. So, but this menu, and they have to be fresh fruits and vegetables. So oftentimes if you go past a school and it's 3 in the morning, you will see a van unloading food and produce because it has to be meeting certain requirements. I'm amazed at some of the things that they have been able to do. There's even a Domino's Pizza Day that they sometime have taken the Domino's Pizza, changed the formula to meet the requirements of the US FDA, and can have that once a week too. So I think it's once a month we do that. The breakfast program and the program at the end of the day called Grab and Go, it allows students to grab a snack or a light meal before they go to sports and after school club or any activity that they're having. And those ones they only do if they're going to choose to eat and consume it. So I feel that's the most cost effective because everyone eats. At lunchtime, they have to have so many items on their tray to make it a balanced meal, and so there's probably a little bit less waste. I grew up in a family that said, even if you didn't like it, you're going to stay there and eat it. But that's not what you do in public school, so I understand that viewpoint. 2 years ago, Mr. Lundquist used to be our Director of Transportation, so he has a lot of experience. So we bought a new fleet of buses, and we now have a fleet of buses that has actually got air conditioning on it. Before, the district didn't have air-conditioned buses, so we have air-conditioned buses, and there are 4 cameras on every bus, which is actually for security devices that go through. Parents have the ability, with technology as I'm talking about, is they have an app that every parent can put on the bus, and they know exactly where their kid is on the bus. So if all of a sudden it stops or it's late, they know where that bus is located. So they just have to dial in and they can do that. And instead of sending your money to school for lunches, you actually pay online over the phone. I mean, I was one of those kids, hey, maybe if I keep my milk money today, I'm going to be okay. You can't even keep that. It's all pretty much automated at that particular time. We have expanded our career technical education programs, and there are a couple brochures that I have on your table, but we've done a lot of different things that kids are interested in, and it has to be something that there's a sector for employment for students to become enrolled. They usually have to take 2 or 3 courses that are offered in there, but I would just share with you some of the things that some of our students are doing. We have an ACE West location, which is the Academy of College and Career Excellence, located on the west end of the district that any students can go to, and not just actually students, adults enroll in these classes too. They were talking about the flying doctors. We had 30 dental hygienists that are taking a program out there. 15 were our students and 15 are adults. Those adults that finish that course and those kids, before they get done, they already have an offer of employment. And we've been really pleased with them being able to do that. So they worked with the flying doctors up here, they went down to Indio, and they've done a really good job. If you go to 29 Palms High School, there's a dental lab in the school. The only one in the state of California. Has a lead wall, has chairs, and they talked about some of the requirements that they have. Every student in the Morongo Unified School District is supposed to have a dental checkup before they come to school in kindergarten. Now, we know that doesn't happen, but with the use of our collaboration, hopefully those type of things will happen along with their physicals and the information about their immunizations. The career technical classes that they have, I'll just read some of the names to you. We have a sports medicine and physical therapy aide. We have sports medicine personal fitness trainer. We've developed a relationship with 5-Star Fitness that all the students can do their field hours in the facility so they can be trained and get that hands-on lesson. We have a pharmacy assistant program where they actually are learning how to be a pharmacy assistant while they go to school, and these are 2-hour blocks. These are open for kids 16 years and older, and also adults. So we have a mixture of kids and adults working together. We have, on the east end, which was the former Monument High School, there's a program going on with the unmanned aerial vehicles. They're developing drones and the ability to fly them. And we partner with a program from Florida. The Department of Defense has a program in which the instructor is, we call it an instructor in a box. So we have one instructor in the box who's teaching from Florida, and we have another instructor that's there. And they have tables, and they learn how to fabricate them and make those drones. We also have a cybersecurity team. Sometimes if you don't dream big, you don't realize what you could realize. 4 years ago, there was not a cybersecurity team at 29 Palms High School. This past year, they've risen from the ranks of just local competition, actually having a team go to the nationals, and actually having a team of 5 females represent themselves in one component too. So that's been a real positive process. Mrs. Sharon Urban teaches a early childhood education program. We have a great need on the east end for child care workers on base. As a matter of fact, if you know someone that's interested in them, if they enroll in that program and they get a job on base, the base will actually subsidize their associate's degree for their first 2 years of college. So these partnerships, we have a great working relationship with Copper Mountain College, is extremely important. The cybersecurity programs, what they do is they compete with each other and they learn about ethical hacking, how to actually keep the safeguards involved, and how to make our systems safer. The kids are brilliant about figuring how to do that. They're sometimes so brilliant that we have to have our IT guys, they talk to each other and they talk about how to prevent that type of process, but the vulnerabilities to systems is one of the things that is one of our greatest fears that we work through. We are also next semester going to develop a dispatcher class where they can do 911 dispatch and be able to learn that system and then be a 911 dispatcher. And the final thing is a private security guard. On the main campus, we do police science, so they're working through it. We have a culinary arts program at Yucca Valley High School, so we're looking to make sure that kids have an interest. Now, the reason these are called career and college academies is we want students, regardless of what school they go to be able to attend any one of these programs. So they have to take them for a 2-hour block, and there's usually a few different courses. I'm excited about the cybersecurity program because we have been told that if the students, it's our first year of it, if they complete the 4 courses, their entry-level pay for a position after completing these 4 certification courses would allow them to earn between $50,000 and $70,000 for their first job without a college diploma. And what we're looking to try to do is that we've got a student that he wants to go to dental school. He became a dental hygienist. If you've got kids or you know of kids going to college, it's pretty expensive to send them to college. Why not give them a skill or trade so they don't take a loan and they reduce that debt upon going to college? Because when you look at our career forces, 70% of the kids that graduate will be going into the workplace. They need lifelong skills that help them matriculate and do other things. The 30% may be going to some type of college, but the statistics on college is about 15% of that 30% will finish. So we've got to make folks have flexibility. The other thing that's a little bit different is I spent 32 years in education. Most of our young folks, by the time they're 30, will have worked for 10 different employers in several different fields. The longevity in careers is changing. And actually, the careers that I'm preparing students for now really don't exist. They're going to mute and change according to market demands, and we have to teach them how to be creative thinkers and also to be innovators as they work through. So that's some information about career technical education. We have now installed video surveillance systems on all the schools, so there are cameras outside. We're working with the Sheriff's Department so that they can actually access the inner workings of our school from outside so they don't even have to come on campus. Why would that be valuable? If we did have an intruder, instead of them coming on campus, they can actually see from their car in the street where that intruder may be, or they can also respond to a vandalism call without getting out of their car. That is very helpful. We're also deploying something called a visitor management system, where you take your license, when you go into the school, it goes in, it checks the license for Megan's list or any type of offender that might be on that list. It would just delay them, but also if there was somebody that had come, it's a little bit like the old bank system. The person in the office can push a button, and it can be programmed into 9 numbers. It can be the principal, the assistant principal, and letting different folks know, but also the non-emergency police department can be programmed into there without saying a word so someone can respond. Because sometimes if you respond, of course, the person could get more agitated as you work through. We don't have a need for that very often in our areas, but we need to be a step ahead as we continue to work through those changes. We have a new social studies adoption. We've got beautiful textbooks that the students are using, but also many of those students can go home and never take their book home because they can put all the materials they have on their phones. That's the interconnectability that kids are working through to be able to work it through. I was hopeful as a college instructor, I was real excited, like, man, these books, when they go online, they're going to be cheaper. Somehow they didn't make that work. That book companies didn't make that work at all that way. We have some outstanding community partnerships. We're really working with Copper Mountain College, Save the Children. This year, years ago I was a principal of Joshua Tree Elementary School, and we've worked with the Rotary groups and we worked with various folks to shoot children, but I had a project that I did with one student at Copper Mountain College. She came out and said, hey, I want to do a community service program. So she got some the local shoe stores to donate some shoes, and we probably shooed, a couple hundred kids. It's gone from that to Save the Children has got a sponsor, Tom Shoes, and they provide shoes for every elementary kid in this district for the last 4 years. They come and they have a community team, and two of the people that came to help size kids up and talk to them during their lunch hours when they were servicing them were from Amsterdam, across the country, coming to Joshua Tree, California. I've had the chance to come up here and work on the different weekends. I don't know what happens in Joshua Tree, but on the weekends, you can barely get into a store. It's really begun working, and that's why the need for technology and the need to continue to evolve is extremely important, because the community is going to have demands. We're going to have people living in this community, and they want to be able to work and do things remotely, and when our kids graduate, they're going to need to be able to compete. So many of them don't have to leave. They can choose to work from wherever they grew up or wherever they find that they love the community and this environment and this ecological area. So we've got to give them those tools to work through. We have online registration now. So if we know the military families are moving here, they don't have to do any paperwork. They can do it online when they get here and start the process. Why is that important? There's a compact that we have an agreement, because when a kid moves from one state to another state, sometimes they lose credit if they're not taking the similar courses that are required. This allows them to get into their classes and making sure that they're registered, and then they just have to bring their verification when they get here. So that's a new system that we've enrolled this year. We also have partnered, again, they talked a little bit about the healthcare district. They've been a fantastic resource, but we're also looking to expand. On October 22nd at 9 a.m., I invite any of the folks that would like to, if they were available, I'm going to tour the West End and show some of the things that are health related. Because what I find is if I can get partners to get kids to get jobs, it's one of those things that takes a little bit of nudge. Sometimes people don't think that they can do certain things, and once they feel like, okay, how can I change my life? Well, there's somebody that inspired you to do something different. So if we can get kids more comfortable with possibly going to college, and that's why we partner with the college in these programs, but also maybe I could be the pharmacy technician. Maybe I could work at the hospital. So Karen Follis, is it Follis? Follis is going to be coming along with some other representatives to kind of tour that and talk about some of the partnerships that we could have. So we'd like to show that to you, because the education programs that we have today are different. I always tell folks the plastic chair and the number 2 pencil is not going to be the way the kids are going to continue to learn. They're changing and they're evolving. And the last thing I would probably say is that we've developed a master facilities plan. We've had to build out what are we looking to have in this area 20 years from now. Well, the reality is I'm going to talk about Measure O, and I'm going to try to present neutral information, because it is a tax. I'm not going to say it's not a tax. It's a tax that's going to be on your bond, and it would cost the taxpayers a certain amount. But the reason I'm going to present that is in the state of California, if you're going to maintain or improve your facilities, you can lose your local revenues. But if you want to use any state matching funds, you have to pass a local bond. You have to put skin in the game. And why would you do that? Well, many times our kids go outside and they compete, and sometimes they drive down the hill or they go to different locations. They're like, man, look at these athletic facilities. Look at these labs. Look at these things that they have. My goal is to get as much as I can to make the quality of their life the best, but also if they have a good educational experience, they're going to invest in it. So Measure O has the frequently asked questions on the back, and it talks about what could actually happen. But we will get some matching funds if we do pass a bond. And sometimes people ask, well, why the timing now? Well, I tried to wait until I know they had Project Phoenix, I know they had the sewer assessment. I was trying to wait my turn to try to give it a shot to see what could happen, because I'm a taxpayer too, and I understand the challenges of that. So I took a year, and I also know there's other things on the ballot that are just as valuable that would be competing with that. But it takes me 4 to 5 years to be able to turn the shovel on a project that gets competed with the state. The average age of a school in the Morongo Unified School District is 42 years old. So we constantly have to take care of roofs, we have to take care of the technology. Now when a teacher, it's interesting, when my technology goes down, some teachers want to say school's over, and they go home, because they're so used to using it. But we've got to continue to work on our aging infrastructure. The areas that it's going to look to address is to make safety and security improvements, improve student access to modern technology and additional science, technology, and engineering and math labs, upgrade aging electrical systems, repair and replace aging roofs, replace aging heating and ventilation and air conditioning programs. The one thing that I've continued to focus upon is that students need to have the opportunity to realize that the classroom is going to be in the brick and mortar that they do, but also that we need to make sure we work on distance learning. We are one of the few entities that has an internet connection across the basin. But I went to a meeting last month where they were coming in and they have identified this area as one of the most underserved areas in the internet for capacity. We are so underserved that there's special grant funding that's looking at doing that, but if we don't change that, our ability to compete with having that resource is going to be more challenging and we will struggle. So I do think that if we look at that infrastructure, we have, for instance, on our ACE West site, we actually have put a tower that we connect from ACE West to Onaga. So we're trying to work with developing a system in which when you go to our schools, you'll see routers in different places so they no longer, that's wireless across most of our schools. We have to develop a wireless basin. There are many cities that have to do that. And when your tourists come and they're putting tax dollars, when they can't get the internet, some of them, they love the environment, but boy, will they let you know that they want to stay connected. Other times they want to disconnect, and that's why they'll come and they'll stay. So they want to have their cake and they want to eat it too. I would like to make sure that I give every opportunity for every student, because many of our students might not have come from the economic background that some of our other folks, but education is supposed to be the one item in this country that when you work hard, it'll pay you dividends. My dad always used to joke, I've had a career in education, and my other brother had a career in corrections. And he always says, one son keeps them in, and one son keeps them out. But I always said that I get a better bang for my buck, because I could have sent kids to Harvard and Yale for what it cost to send them to visit my brother for a few years. So it's a give and take. But I appreciate your time, I appreciate your willingness to listen, and I would just say make up your mind and do what you think is right, because each of you go through a path, and you have to make tough decisions, and have to make priorities. So I would never say that our priority is higher than another priority, but I would say that an educated society is what determines the future of any community. And with that, if there's any questions, I didn't see the sign yet. 1 minute? Okay, go. If there's any questions, feel free. I have to give her a hard time because she was always so good to me in the Rotary, and I always enjoyed being with Mary Helen.
That's all right.
She fined me.
Thank you, Tom, we appreciate it. We got one question?
Is there new construction? I didn't hear whether there's new construction of buildings in there.
We actually, at this point, have put some different facilities in for some buildings. For instance, I'll give you an example, because here's what I'd like to see happen. If we partner out with the city of Yucca Valley for a pool, okay? And we help provide some of the funding for it, and they provide some funding. What we actually have in there is how do we update the pool. Now, the city of Yucca Valley has a measure on there that if the parks bonds pass, they have an ability to do an aquatic center and possibly a performing arts building. To me, it makes sense to match up the two organizations and get the biggest bang for your buck. So I would propose to the city of Yucca Valley, take your existing pool, remodel it, and use the back end of Yucca Valley to put it there. Now, they're going to have to make a choice on where they do it, but if they've already got some of the infrastructure there, they would do that. So it would be roofs, it would be any future buildings that might be needed. We also still own the Joshua Tree Elementary School property right behind here. We can't put students in there, but there could be a number of uses that possibly could be used for that, for the community. So my whole thing is the best building that I have now is currently to make sure they're all being utilized. And one of the questions I often get is, why do you have so many portables here? The state of California requires 1/3 of all your buildings to be portables, because they were trying to plan ahead compared to sometimes in the East Coast where they built brick and mortar buildings, and then when the population changed and it went down, they had to sell those buildings. The plan was, and it was a good plan in the beginning, but it didn't come up with what I call common sense, you could move those portables. Now, when I move, if I move a portable from Friendly Hills over to Joshua Tree, it'll cost me $50,000 to do because of the requirements. And my portables now, actually every portable on Joshua Tree, we own because we paid the lease, but I can't move them because they might not make the move. But they're safer than almost any brick and mortar building during an earthquake. So there's a variety of pros and cons because I can use every building on that campus except for the NPR. Because of the seismic activity, they said they gave us 2 years to evacuate. And one of the things that did happen was when we had our previous bond, it wasn't included in the project, but the state said we're going to give you $5.9 million for that to help you with the problem that you have. It cost 19.5. So if we hadn't had that bond, this community wouldn't have Joshua Tree Elementary School there. It would have closed. It would have been absorbed into other schools. Yes, ma'am.
I just got my property tax, I just tucked it in my checkbook, I haven't paid much attention. Is there an MUSD bond already on our property tax?
There is one now, and it's finishing up, and then but we actually refinanced it, so it's gone down in the value. This is $55 for the next 20 to 25 years, depending on market conditions, per $100,000 of value.
What is the current one?
If you were to take the two together, it's a total of $110. And Mark, I think it expires in
2042.
2042. But if you were to take the two, it's $110, and it's actually 33 cents a day. I was trying to work on the math and say what would work. Now, I do understand that's per $100,000 of value. So one of the things I always try to do is be mindful of the taxpayer. So I fully understand it. So the positive is about none of these can be spent on any salaries. It can only be used for facilities and capital improvements. Because right now, the capital improvements are the most difficult part is getting them approved and then making sure that they maintain themselves, because it's like anything else. If you don't maintain your properties, they go down in value. If they get worse, then it's twice as expensive to do it than if you would have gotten it in when it started.
So then you're trying to raise, so the district qualifies for about $37 million in matching school facility program modernization eligibility funds. So you're trying to raise $37 million to get the match.
Yeah, we would try to raise the money for the matching, and it's over a time period that is a long period away. But if we don't do that, then we have to do one project at a time. And we did a facilities master plan on what would be needed for this community for the next 25 years out. And that's, of course, never going to be feasible because that's about $150 million. But we're trying to do some different things that may help long term. And I also would say with the other public entities is anyone that builds or anytime I can do something, I had an experience when I worked out of state, and every time you build a library, you built a library and then also connected to a school, and you made it separate access for the public, but you worked on joint ventures. Because if you worked on joint ventures, the city benefited and the school district benefited. And if we can do those things in partnership, long term, they're cheaper for the taxpayer. Yes?
And how's the school district get its money now?
Right now, you do pay some property tax, but the state of California has something called the Proposition 13. And that was where it was based on the amount. Now, I'm from the East Coast where the property taxes are a lot different, a lot more expensive. Here, they're based on what your appraised value was at a certain time and can only go up 1% per year. What I have found in the state of California is it's only depending on, to be very honest with you, where your zip code is. Because there are some areas that are more commercial areas that they have a very difficult time. And so if, for instance, right now Morongo Unified decided not to do anything to improve its school. The state wouldn't worry about it at all until we had what's called a Williams inspection, and they said that you were in trouble and you got a major repair that you have to do, and then they said you need to take your money and put it towards that process. Well, most people don't realize when you look at a school district budget, 85% is for salaries of the employees, the teachers, the cafeteria workers, the administrators, and 15% is rent to take care of the entire rest of the facilities.
So it's all probably, you get full-time equivalent student money from the state?
We get ADA for the students, so they figure out, they take all the tax dollars that they collect, and then depending on how many students that you get, you have average daily attendance. So based on how large the district is, you get that one. This district also benefits something called economic impact aid because of the military base and untaxed areas, so we get that for a certain percentage too. We have some really riveting budget sessions. You're welcome to come there, but there's also been a change in funding called the local control area planning, and those are about 20 or 30 meetings a year that ask for your input so we can make decisions on that. Mark, you're not getting mad at it, because I know I only am supposed to have 15 minutes, but,
Okay, one last question.
yes, sir.
How are the charter schools getting their funds? Is that coming out of your budget?
No, they don't, they come out, they're like an independent organization, and they get funding directly from the state based on how many students they have and where they come up in the population. They have to put a charter together, it has to get approved by the county, but the district doesn't have any it's interesting, the district sometimes has oversight and responsibilities for them, but no control if they have their own local board.
Are they having an effect on your enrollment?
Not locally, there are some online charters that anyone could go to, that have there, but we don't have one physically located in our Morongo Basin any longer. And I welcome the competition with different organizations. I think that's healthy for a school district. What I worry about is, as long as, to be very honest, is that everyone has the same set of rules. We have responsibilities for testing and academic assessments that aren't the same requirements for some of the charters. But they also can do some things in a positive way, very innovative. For instance, they don't have to meet the building codes for a school like we do. They could set up shop in a different type of location. Now, some people might see that as bad, but for me, as a school administrator, I know that anytime if I have to redo anything outside, my ramp has to be done to ADA access, where they don't have the same type of requirements.
Tom, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
And it may be because I've forgotten a lot, but I thought lottery funds were supposed to go to capital improvements for schools. Whatever happened to that?
It's interesting.
Short answer is okay.
And Mark would smile. The lottery funds ended up being what I call a sliver, and what I can actually use those for is usually I could use them for textbooks, but it's a very small percentage of any district budget now, because what I didn't realize is that how much money goes back into reinvesting to make the lottery function. But the dollars that we get is they'd be less than 3 or 4% of the entire district budget.
Tom, I spent 8 years on the COC, Citizens Oversight Committee for the bond issue, and presented the audit reports to the school board every year. Am I going to have to do that again?
Well, that's a good point. That outside group is appointed to look over every penny that's spent on that, and they come and do quarterly reports, or is it quarterly or yearly?
It was a yearly report to the board, but that was my point, is that this whole process is overseen by a committee of citizens within the school district. So they make sure that the monies are being spent in a proper way and by law on what the bond was originally intended for. So there is an oversight process that makes sure that the money goes in the right direction.
Thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. I appreciate the time.
Okay, reports from members of the MAC. Teresa, you want to start off?
Sure. Hi, everybody. We had an event, Living with Snakes, on September 22nd with Jane Falk, and she was so great. She brought in live snakes. None of them were venomous, but we had 50 people, and we had a lot of little kids. I think we probably had 8 or 10 little kids, which we don't see little kids very often. So that was really nice. We had Stop the Bleed last weekend. That was an event that I went to at the hospital, and we had 14 people get certified, and a lot of them were our volunteers. Let me see. Pat Remington is giving a weed show presentation this Saturday from 9 to 11, so if you ever wanted to be in that, it's at the old schoolhouse. It's free. She's always a delight. We're still serving about 70 to 80 families every month with our USDA food program, and we have that next Monday. It's next Monday, right, Ken? Yeah. But we also have the Salvation Army out on October 24th, and they're giving energy assistance funds. And so they give up to $100 for anybody who wants to come and fill out an application. It's not income-based, so all you have to do is get an appointment from me and bring your last Edison bill, as long as it has a balance on it, and your last proof of income, and you can fill out an application and probably get $100 off, or up to $100 off your bill. I'm going to put that on wondervalley.org, so if you're interested, just go there and give me a call. Our next community meeting is this Saturday, October 13th, from 11 to 1, and we'll be introducing the Friends of Wonder Valley, which is a new 501c3 that we've formed, and it's designed to serve the community of Wonder Valley. And we'd love you to come and see us. So, thank you.
So, Tom?
Okay, just three things from Yucca Mesa. One is that elections are coming up for next year's officers for the Yucca Mesa Improvement Association soon. We made about $4,000 from our Mesa Fest. That was that was the 28th? 22nd. And we recently, were advised of the new FB5 expansion fee for the service zone. And there's a lot of objection to that and hardships that it will cause for people living up on the mesa. And you may hear something about that later. You got your own.
Okay, let me see. I get a lot of questions on roads in the area. In fact, I think I had a couple before the meeting started. Park Boulevard is one of the ones that people are most concerned about. It seems to be in delay right now, but it's actually targeted, has been approved by the Board of Supervisors. Originally, it was going to go be done in 2020, but it had a misunderstanding with the local water district that there was some work they had to do. Once they straighten that out, it looks like in 2019 they will be completely redoing Park Boulevard, and they will be removing it completely right down to the dirt and rebuilding it, so that's good news. The other thing is, I noticed that we have one comment tonight on one of the issues at downtown Joshua Tree in one of the streets, and I don't want to steal her thunder. I'll let her speak about that. Was mentioned tonight that we were identified as a area that is insufficient broadband and needing more service, like Tom mentioned, for the school system and stuff. Well, there is a group called the Inland Empire Broadband Consortium, which has been working diligently to try to get some of the companies that are within the Morongo Basin to change their mapping, and we've had a representation here from Blake Baxter. We had a meeting last month, all the constituents that were involved in that. We had a meeting in Yucca Valley. Unfortunately, we're going to have to push a little harder to get some of these providers to move and redesign their areas, or not redesign them, or actually tag them correctly that they don't have service. And once that's done, hopefully we can move forward and we can get some broadband service up here. There is a company coming up that is doing it through the airwaves now. I think it's called Pacific Lightwave, that is going to be improving some of the areas up here, so we're looking forward to that also. Let me see. And that's about it for me. Mary Ellen.
Mary Helen Tuttle, Copper Mountain Mesa Community Association. We are continuing with our breakfasts. You may have heard our name on the radio that they closed us down. Well, we fixed it. It was okay. Everything got taken care of. What we cannot do is share our kitchen. So people who are a lot of the cottage industries are looking for a Class A kitchen that they can do their work in. Well, we thought we had one. Guess we don't. Cleanliness is not part of being a Class A. You have to have a whole bunch of other stuff. So we found out. But anyway, our kitchen is perfectly fine. It's clean, I swear. We had breakfast. Breakfast is the first Saturday of the month. This coming Saturday, we do have a board meeting. We were also in danger of losing our USDA food giveaway, and that has been rectified. So we're good there. We will continue being a location for that. And we're just moving on, coming up with new ideas. We now have game nights on Monday night and Thursday night. We have a TV, and somebody brought in their gizmo, and we can have the football game on Monday nights. So that's kind of exciting. You can go up there and play darts, play pool. We have one of the old-time pinball machines. Watch the football game. You can bring a beverage. There's coffee, chips, dip. He sells hot dogs too, I think. So, it's kind of fun. Mondays and Thursdays. Come on up. That's it for now.
Anything from Desert Heights?
Well, I just got back from 2 weeks on the road through Nevada and Utah and other places. Totally gorgeous. My head is back there in Nevada and Utah, and gorgeous places. But there's people going to speak tonight on the fire tax, so I don't need to do that. But I got home to the Ord Mountain Solar and Energy Storage Project in Lucerne Valley, which is within our district, and I will be working on that environmental impact report, which is, I do believe, a little deficient. And then I would suggest there's a number of issues that are on the Morongo Basin Conservation Association website that can help you access what's going on right now. Plus, there is what's a virtual, help me.
Candidate virtual forum.
Candidate virtual forum. So that's going to be good to tap into so you get background information. Is there anything else I should announce?
On the fire tax, there is a question and answer that we're going to be posting through our e-blast.
Okay.
So,
Okay, there's been a lot of email going around, but we'll hear more about this after we're done up here.
That's it. Now we go to public comment. My first one is from Gary Biggs. Gary? But yours is more of a question rather than a comment, correct?
Yeah, I just want to know what we were going to do
Oh,
with the temporary occupancy tax.
Okay, well, I can answer that for you. We'll go out of protocol here, away from protocol. Pardon? Oh, yeah, the question is TOT tax going back to benefit the community
Generated.
that's generated? And the answer is yes. We don't know how much percentage will be coming back, but it'll be coming back to the community in form of safety dollars for things like fire and sheriff and safety patrols. And also be coming back to the local Chamber of Commerce's in the areas that the tax is collected on. So some of it will be coming back to the community. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I want percentages, but we'll get to that later.
Yeah, they haven't published the percentages yet, yeah. Rick Sayers.
Well, hello, friends and neighbors. Mark told me I have 3 minutes. I'll try to talk fast. I just go.
Is it-
What do I do?
Pick it up, play karaoke.
Just talk loud.
Quickly, your time's going.
There's a little red, there's this button
This
right
one?
here on the side.
Push it up until is the light on?
Better?
Is the light on? Nope.
Look for the little red light on.
Oh, right.
Should be green. I can talk loud, okay.
There you go.
This letter's going out to the County Board of Supervisors in the mail tomorrow. I just wrote down some thoughts. I got irritated over this FP5 rather. The San Bernardino County Supervisors have sunk to a new low of sleaziness with the misguided FP5 expansion fee. I'm offended by the excise tax of $157 per year per parcel, and I'm even more offended by the way this has been orchestrated. The letters were sent out in what appears to be a junk mail envelope, causing many recipients to throw the letters in the trash. Then we have this alleged means to protest, where the protest letters are not voluntarily provided, and people without a computer or internet access are left out and unable to protest. The county should be ashamed of themselves for perpetrating this scam on the citizens. It is obvious that my supervisor, James Ramos, feels it is more advantageous to cozy up with the Firemen's Labor Union than to represent his constituents' needs and opinions. Having followed the workings in San Bernardino County the last 15 years, some things have become very apparent to me. San Bernardino County is two very different places. We have the lowlands of Yucaipa, Highland, Redlands, Ontario, city of San Bernardino. Our elected representatives reside there. Then we have the mountain and desert communities of Big Bear, Lake Arrowhead, Victorville, Apple Valley, Barstow, Needles, Joshua Tree, Yucca Valley, and 29 Palms. Supervisor Lovingood is the only supervisor who resides in one of these areas. The residents of the lowlands and deserts really have nothing in common with the lowlanders. can't understand why anybody would want to live in the desert, and the desert dwellers can't understand why anyone would want to live in the city congestion. San Bernardino County is the largest county in the lower 48 states. Rural areas of the county have no representation. Proof of that is this latest FP5 sham being perpetrated on the citizens. According to the website transparentcalifornia.com, Fire Chief Mark Hartwig has a compensation package of $362,249 in 2017. Not quite as high as San Bernardino County Sheriff John McMahon, the highest paid elected official in the state of California, with a compensation package of $503,975 in 2017. On the transparentcalifornia.com website, I counted 980 San Bernardino County employees with a compensation package in excess of $200,000 a year. Average citizens cannot feel sympathy for people who make more money in 1 year than they make for 5 or 6 years. For those of you who are not aware, firemen have a good old boy network set up to pad their pensions, and the way it works is that a fireman's pension is based on the last couple of years of his wages before retirement. So when a fireman is approaching retirement age, he magically gets to work massive overtime, so his income for the last few years previous to their retirement are drastically inflated, and the person ends up with a pension in excess of $100,000 per year.
Rick, can you wrap it up with one more paragraph?
Before any tax increases are requested, the pensions and compensation packages of the firemen need to be renegotiated.
Thank you very much.
You got it.
Are there copies for the public?
Yeah, I got a couple more on the table.
Okay.
I threw out a couple other ones here.
Thank you. Next speaker, Jane Jarlsberg.
I'm assuming, yeah. I've been speaking here for the last several months. I live on Sunset Road. Name is Jane Jarlsberg, and speaking about the fact that there was no speed limit on Sunset Road south of the highway. And I think Mark finally got it and said that he had talked to the county, and then I saw that they were actually testing the speeds a couple of weeks ago on Sunset. They had the cables across the road. And after they were there about a week, and after it was gone, I called the county and asked what they intended to do with the research that they'd done. And I talked to the fellow that had put had done the research, and he said that they were measuring the speeds, the average speeds. They'll take the information and decide what kind of speed limit is logical on that street. I also mentioned that it's 40 across the highway on Sunset, north of the highway, and that I was hoping it would be at least 40 or 45. And I got an indication, and I think that's probably what it's going to be. And he said, well, it might take 2 or 3 months. And I thought, wow, I thought it'd be like a year or something. So I thought that was wonderful. And I wanted to thank Mark for following up on that. And I think there's more and more pedestrians on that street. It's just really scary. People drive too fast. And I observed a family with several little kids, including a little hardly 2-year-old, walking on the side of the road because there's no place for them to really walk. And a speeding car honked the horn at them and said, "Get off the road!" It's crazy. So anyway, I hope this will help. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ed Valorant.
Hear me? Okay. I'm going to hit 2 issues. The first one is on the fire tax. I hope everyone that hasn't protested gets their protest in tomorrow, so we'll get there on time. Couple points. I wrote an article that was in the paper, but my write-up that I handed out last time was the first draft. It was much longer, and some of the stuff had to be dropped. One of the things is the current Assistant Chief, Chamberlain, was the president of the union in 2014. In 2015, I talked about the massive raises, and one of the things that got deleted was the fact that the engineers got the biggest gain, and they got a 13.7 to a 17.2 annual raise in 2015, followed by, for 16, 17, and 18, a 4.25% to a 4.5% increase. The numbers that I had come from the state database when I talked about 25 people out of the top 100 people in the county being firemen that made between $200,000, just under, to over $250,000. That is the money that is recorded on their W-2. That doesn't include all the other benefits that they get above and beyond it. Okay, so please protest. On a second issue, we've got the election coming up for the Joshua Basin Water District. I would like to see Al elected. He has raised Cain. They keep trying to retrofit a well. 29 Palms had a well. What happens is, it's like your swamp cooler. It builds up deposits and it stops producing. They just keep reworking a well, spending hundreds of thousands of dollars reworking a well, and 29 Palms just said, we'll drill a new one for $1 million. There's problems. I wrote a thing in the paper back in February. I had brought up in the meeting that the electronic meters cost approximately a third of what the president was using, the manager was using on his estimates. And lo and behold, after he spoke after my article to follow up on it, 2 months later, 2 weeks before the protest is over, my numbers were right. And so they billed us for an extra $1.7 million, which they then bought new equipment. We need to throw out the rubber stamp board. They need to hold the people accountable. The office staff in Joshua Tree in 2016 got paid $500,000 more than 29 Palms, and 29 Palms is 1.5 times the staff. The meters. It was $100,000 more than Yucca Valley. Something needs to be done. We need a new board. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ed. Al Marquez.
Good evening. Al Marquez, Sunfair Community of Joshua Tree. My comment has to do with fire protection for all of San Bernardino County. The fire protection number 5 is asking for an increase of $157.26 a year with a 3% probable increase every year after that. But as the experience that I have is that I own property in Hallandale, and the Silver Lakes community over there, with approximately maybe 900 or 1,200 homes over there, they decided to expand their influence of Hallandale. And I own property over there that is not have any items on there or ink filling, or what do you call it? Yes. Anyways, I'm having to pay the same amount of money that the people over there in Silver Lakes has. And I couldn't even vote on it because it was only for the voters over there to vote on it. So I have to pay for the fire protection of Silver Lakes with the property that I have over there that does not have any improvements on. And the majority of the people over there and that own property in Hallandale have the same problem. But here in the Morongo Basin, we have quite a few properties here that are not have values that, of properties that are, have any structures on them or anything else. So I'm not saying that you shouldn't vote or protest that, but you should decide if you want to protest it or not. And the increase of the charges for the fire protection, we're not going to get any more protection than we have right now. So with that, I also like to say that at the previous meeting, you had a person that was on the Citizens Advisory Committee of the Johnson Basin Water District sponsoring two of the existing water district members that are on the board right now. And I would like to say that if you want somebody to support and take care of the values of the people of the Johnson Basin Water District and represent the water district ratepayers, vote for somebody that's not on the board. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you very much. So that concludes our meeting. We are now adjourned.